live video in a while. So, as usual, this is not a planned live video, but I had a couple of things on my mind. Just one of those things when you're observing the world around you, things just continue to stay crazy, and you're just like, wow. It's just like, how do you reconcile just, Devin, I'm gonna need you to stop that. I asked you to stop that before, and I don't intend to ask you again. Got to keep these kids in check. They be trying to test your gangster, and sometimes you got to be like, okay, let me use the big mommy voice. So when I ask you to do something, you understand that I mean this, and I'm not playing with you anymore. If I tell my kids I have zero intentions of telling you something again, they already know what time it is if they do it again. But, anyways, I was just thinking, looking at the world today, observing the world today, and I'm just like, dang, we are living in the time of the revelation. And we are living in a time where, if you are not truly conscious, if you are not truly awake, you're going to be on the bandwagon of all kinds of ignorance, all kinds of distractions. And, I pray every day, and I always ask God, how do you expect for us to function? Give me 1 second. Wrap it up right now. Both of you. Both of you, and quietly. You're done. So, you know, I'm telling you, and I absolutely mean it. I don't even want to see that light on in the next 5 minutes. So, anyways, disobedience to parents. That's one of the signs that we living in an antichrist. These kids are demons by themselves. And you got to literally discipline the demon out of some of these rebellious kids and get them really early. So by the time they're teenagers, you got the fear of God in them, because some of these kids, it's like if you just let them do whatever they want without any consequences, they will run all over you. And I learned that from my mom. And it's just one of those things where you have to be the parent. A lot of people, they have been somewhat conditioned in this system not to parent and not to raise their voice at their rebellious kids. Please, nobody has time for that over here. It's like, my kids know, do not play with me. If I have to say it way more times, I'm shutting it all the way down, all the way down. So they got to go to bed early because they kept testing my gangster. Don't test mommy's gangster, because I really do not go back on my word. I mean, ask any man I dated. I don't do the same thing twice. Ask their daddy. Anyways, so I'm thinking about just the Antichrist spirit, and all these distractions that we are subjected to in the world. And one of the sort of indicators of the Antichrist is that there's going to come a time where people are going to have a hard time buying and selling if you don't have the mark of the Antichrist, right? And a lot of people think that some people may think this is a physical mark, right? But really, when you have the mark of the wild beast or the mark of the Antichrist, it really is an indication of your heart condition, right? Your heart condition towards Satan's world. And we all struggle with this as imperfect people. I even struggle with it. And I feel like I'm a lot more spiritually strong than some of the people around me. But, we struggle to exist in a system of things that we exist in. We live in it every day. And I often pray to God, like, how did you expect for us to exist in Satan's world? Like, with all of these influences, all of these ideas, all of these sort of tyrannical structures that really, in a lot of situations throughout history has, caused a lot of death upon people. And we as humans, we can't reconcile why certain things in history were allowed. We do know that historically, God has wiped out nations that have been very offensive to him. So, and people want to say he's a bad God, but my whole thing is a lot of those nations were engaging in practices that were just defiling and disgusting. These people were having sex with animals, pedophiles, sacrificing children. And when you look at some of the ancient civilizations before us, and even how they're referenced in the Bible and some of the practices that they were engaged in, and these nations that were considered disgusting to God, you realize that America is, really in that trend of Sodom and Gomorrah and some of these ancient cities where a lot of these people knew God, but they turned away from God and they went on to participate in a lot of the paganism and idealisms of the people who did not believe in God. So I feel like right now, what we have, and you can tell because Christianity, if you tell people you're a Christian, you know, and I don't even like using Christian these days just because it's a label. It's a label for, to me, a lot of apostate type people to kind of validate their trustworthiness or their credibility. But really these people are engaging in very anti-Christ behaviors. Like, a lot of these conservatives, we're about God and family. It's like, which God? The God Satan or God the Most High? Because some of y'all in movie theaters doing all kinds of things that as an elected representative, you should have way more etiquette to be doing. And so it gets to a point where you're like, man, we are definitely living in the era of the Antichrist. And it wasn't real time for me until this week when I saw just the court. Like it was real time for me with Kanye. when when the ADL went after Kanye, he lost all these deals, which he ended up getting back. And now Adidas is saying that Kanye isn't a bad guy, or he was he was taken out of context. So now they're defending Kanye. So we should see a rise of Ye again because Adidas is not stupid. Um, but you see this, but they really came after that man's money. They really came after that man's money. In Canada, you saw the truckers, right? These people did not agree with the tyrannical COVID lockdowns and restrictions, and they rebelled and they leveraged their finances against them, right? Now you're looking at Russell Brand, right? Immediately, not this man hasn't even had a conviction yet. And here YouTube is demonetizing him, and the government of UK is partitioning all of these social media platforms to demonetize him and deplatform him, all of because of accusations. Like, Russell Brand has not even been charged with anything, and he's not going to be charged with anything because I'm pretty sure the statutes of limitations for a lot of these accusations has long expired. So we're never going to see Russell Brand charged with anything. Right. So therefore, he's not going to be convicted of anything. And so you have all of these coordinated people, all these coordinated groups going after this man, demonetizing him. And that's just the cold facts. If the media did their job, they would say most of these accusations are 10 years ago. Over 10 years ago. What is the statute of limitations? And then their story with the 16-year-old is falling apart because the UK 16 is considered an adult. No matter how you feel about that in America, in some lands, people need to concede that the age of maturity is not 18. It's actually much younger than that in a lot of nations. So we can't hold other people to our standards when it's convenient for us so that we can vilify them. We got to do things sensibly. And I'm not saying that Russell Brand is innocent of the things that he's accused of. I'm not saying that at all. What I'm saying is that these women had plenty of time to come out on Russell Brand when his whole career was in the collapse. They could have definitely just gave it to him, beat him while he was still down. They wait, and you got these coordinated media groups, you know, news outlets working together, trying to find women that had a dealing with Russell Brand, vet their story so that they can com- continue to add more women to the scenario. And at some point, for me, Me Too really kind of turns into a Me Too as well for a check. Like I'll say that I met him one time, and I'll say that he was inappropriate or racist to me. If you give me 10 stacks, that's basically what I feel like some of this is. That's why some of these women, when they want to talk about believe all victims, you can't believe all victims, because there are a lot of women in this world that are Jezebels. These women are liars. They will do anything for the coin, including setting up men. I posted on Twitter, go look at Lil Wayne or listen to Lil Wayne's record, Mona Lisa. People didn't really, if you listen to that song and really digested what Lil Wayne was talking about, right? He was talking about these grimy ass women, the setup chicks, the ones that can be paid to set a man up. And that can mean all kinds of ways. Set them up to die, set them up to get robbed, or just set them up to look a certain way so that later on you can defame his character. I mean, that's why I would never. I was just talking to my kids today about why they should never want to be famous. Because these people are subjected to all kinds of things that put them in positions to have to defend themselves. But off that, like I tell people all the time, stand on your past. Stand on your past, because a lot of these demons out here, they have a hard time believing that people can evolve to a higher consciousness, because it's very hard for them to do that. I don't care how rich you are, there are just some unconscious people running around here, and they're just oblivious of how overall humans work and how things work, and they swear they are smart because they went to a Harvard or Princeton. I'm sorry. Those schools are labels to me, because anytime I can debate with your students and they come off stupid, and I went to a technology school, you didn't do your job. And I went to an 82% white male school, and I'm so glad I did, because I did not focus on victimhood. We were critical thinking to the core. It was theory through practice. So I'm not an indoctrinated person. Thank you. Thank you, God. You gave me some really good experiences. But off that, I think that, with Russell Brand, it's just you can see how these antichrist type people move, though. How coordinated they can be when they want to take you out because you do not want to be on their bandwagon of ignorance. You don't want to support their demonic actions towards humanity. If you're not on the bandwagon of these narratives or what they want to project to you, if you ain't believing, if you're not a lemming, if you are speaking against the ill logic of what they're pushing out to people, these people are out to sabotage you. I am still restricted from LinkedIn. I'm still restricted from LinkedIn. And let me tell you guys, LinkedIn is so, I don't know, attacking of me. I feel I opened, I'm like, okay, you guys are not going to let me have my old account back, so I'm going to open up a new one, right? Different email. I used my entire name, didn't post anything political or social, just inspirational stuff. And my following started growing. People started to recognize me. And within a week, LinkedIn shut that page down with zero explanation. And during that whole process, that whole week, every time they kept logging me out of the account and making me verify the account with a company name or a company email address. So these people are trying to limit how people buy, sell, and do business on all kinds of fronts. So when you're talking about that age of the Antichrist, and what period of time will be marked or indicators that we are in the era of the Antichrist, a lot of that is inflation. You go read Revelation. Don't just believe me. Read Revelation. All right. Chapter 13. Okay. I don't want you to just believe me. I want you to read for yourself. But all of those indicators, right, of how he would be manipulating people and how he would actually have the masses manipulated. Excuse me, I talk all day. That's my job. But they say, this person or this figure would be manipulating people on a massive scale. And how is it, and also restricting people on a massive scale. So when you hear people tout the rhetoric that freedom of speech is not freedom of reach, these people are directly saying that you can say whatever you want to say, but you're not going to be able to be a part of the marketplace of thought because we're going to restrict you. We're going to shadow ban you. We're going to make you irrelevant. So if you're being shadow banned by a platform or you're being censored by the platform, your opportunity to grow your network, grow your audience, it diminishes. So that means that you don't qualify for any type of partnership programs, right? Or monetization because you're not able to get reach for your content. And, to me, when you look at, what they're doing to a lot of these content creators who were making hundreds of thousands of dollars a month off of their YouTube channel, and because they had an opposing viewpoint about LGBTQ, or because they were a Donald Trump supporter, these people were impacted monetarily. And when you think about kind of where we're kind of going, if this stuff does not get checked, and if the United States continue to stay on the trajectory that we are right now, where you have these fringe groups, these side chick organizations who are punking companies to comply with their standards of what speech is, we are heading towards just literally, I want to say either tyranny or a situation in which there's going to be civil war in this country. And I've even seen, like, I've actually even, like, for the last 3 years has had this soft feeling of a Nazi Germany in America rise, because you have a lot of, individuals who are touting rhetoric that is just completely dangerous, and it's completely unconstitutional. And you have these patriot people who are feeling like you people, like there is a problem here and we need to address this problem. And then you have these other groups who are saying, it's the white people, and the white people are saying, which ones? The construct of white is so different in this nation. Which ones are you talking about? And it's getting to the point where people are getting angry, they're getting frustrated, and they are looking at the patterns of what is happening in this nation. And the people who are trying to big flex the most, like, yeah, we have control to do this and control to do that. We can punk this organization. People are going to be looking at you. And we talking about you, ADL. You cannot be sitting up there talking about you're an anti-defamation league and you running around defamating people, shaking people up. I'm not really a huge fan of the ADL. That's probably a career horrible thing to say, but I'm not. Ever since they went after Kyrie for sharing a documentary, I understood right then and there that these people don't respect free speech. And I'm not saying everybody that work at the ADL have those sentiments, but a lot of leadership seem to have a supremacy of thought, and they have this convoluted idea of what a real threat is to any given group. And it's just, to me, it's getting too much out of hand. Jonathan Greenblatt turned me off when he said freedom of speech does not mean freedom of reach. And he also turned me off, and a lot of other people, when he admitted to ADL's influences on different companies and platforms to censor people. To me, that's just a red flag that that organization is not in the interest of everybody. And if anything, they are a constitutional risk to a lot of people. I feel like they're a constitutional risk to me. So, not really a big fan of that, but there's so many coordinated ways in which all of these little fringe groups are infringing upon people's civil liberties, inhibiting them from being able to do business, right? Because if you got like LinkedIn, which is like the number one business networking site, right? So you meet anybody you want to do business with, the first thing they say, hey, yeah, are you on LinkedIn? It's kind of like that go-to site. So if you have a platform like LinkedIn saying that because you believe a certain way, we are using our constitutional right not to have you on our platform for whatever reason, we're at Will's company at this point, the way that they're picking off certain individuals, like it really, to me, it puts a unfair advantage on the competitive, the actual free markets, because the markets aren't free if you have platforms that are being leveraged by most of the market to do business in some capacity, limiting who can do business on their site. That is antichrist behavior all the way around, because you are being selective in who can do business and who cannot. And let me tell you, I've had to learn to navigate not using LinkedIn, but even still, like, I have to explain to people why I'm not on LinkedIn. And a lot of people are like, wow, that sounds really absurd. I didn't know LinkedIn go around doing that. It's like, yeah, they out here in these streets just censoring people all day if they have an opinion. So if you're a natural born woman, you are going to be forced to be okay with sharing spaces with men that want to be appearing as women and labeled as women. And if you have anything to say about that, LinkedIn will restrict your account. If you say your pronouns are common sense, like I did, LinkedIn will restrict your account. So, and these are things that have happened to me. So this is like firsthand experience. Can't say it's defamation or libel because it's my experience, and I'm speaking from my experience utilizing that company. So that's just to say, it's interesting to me. It just dawned on me when I looked at how quickly YouTube demonetized Russell Brand. I'm like, we are literally in the era of the Antichrist. We are literally in the era of Antichrist, when just that quickly, off of some accusations that have not even been charged, the guy has not even been convicted, and yet they are taking his money. They are taking his money. Read Revelations, you guys. Read Revelation chapter 13. Get to know sort of the signs of the Antichrist. And as you're watching the world today, y'all let me know if the patterns will not continue to lie as we sort of progress in this dichotomy that we exist in right now. Tell us straight. What's up, Scott? I don't do a live stream very much, but I wanted to just do this quick one just to let everybody know I'm okay. I miss my LinkedIn tribe. Follow me on Substack if you are on Substack, or if you like my content. I just put up the blog about Russell Brand, and actually that I just did the video. I haven't had a lot of time to write recently just because I've been trying to drive my business. But yeah, follow me on Substack. I'm on Twitter, AngieC313. So you can follow me there. If you are not following me on Twitter, I think I do a lot more engagements on Twitter, and I've actually been building a little Twitter tribe. So hopefully Twitter, or X, if you will, don't get like these other platforms and censor me. But follow me there, like, share, and subscribe. But let me know your thoughts, you guys, on the Antichrist conversation. And why are these little messages disappearing so fast? How do you? Oh, they kill me with this. Okay, here we go. Hey, I've been banned from. Are you still banned from Substack? That was a shocker to me. That was a shocker to me. Scott, when you told me you were banned from Substack, I was kind of in disbelief because Substack is that platform that everyone seems to be going to who are more independent journalists who are trying to find that free speech platform. So when you and they still kept you banned. I've been banned from Substack for being honest about banks. Yeah, here's the thing though. When you start talking about the financial sector, it gets a little murky, and it's your freedom of speech, right? You should be able to talk about whatever bank you want to. But this is a way in which they are going to censor speech no matter what, and there are certain topics, vaccines, dislike for the government, you know I even find that they will shadow ban you for talking crap about pedophiles. Like, if you say, I think that, there's no room in civil society for a pedophile, which to me would be a post that would resonate with a lot of people, but you'll notice the engagement it's not moving the needle, right? Not moving the needle at all sometimes. And a lot of times that's because there are certain things that they don't want people focusing on because it makes them feel bad about themselves. A lot of these people are pedophiles. They run around with supremacy like, yes, I can censor people and have sex with little boys too. Like, these people are weird. These people are absolutely weird. And they don't want you to talk about them. They don't want you to call them out. If anyone in business wants to know about my experience with banks, find me. You know, I don't even want to talk about financial stuff. I try to steer clear, even though I'm a financial advisor, just for regulatory reasons. I don't like to talk about finances on social media. It's just safer not to. And so I steer clear of it. But obviously it's not a conversation that they want people to be having, and I think you probably were doing that. If I can recall what that happening to you, Scott, I think that was around the time the banks were in crises. There's a whole banking crisis, and I think that they were really trying to keep panic, as limited as possible. They didn't want people doing a lot of bank runs. It's like a ripple effect sometimes when something happens within the financial sector. People start panicking and they start making drastic decisions, and the more people who are commentating on what's happening sometimes, the more that they are going to be suppressed. I notice a lot of people who do videos that are focused on the financial sector, their videos get suppressed. I think that they're pretty brave if they're licensed, because you will never catch me. You will not catch me on YouTube or on any other platform giving out investment advice. I will not do it. I will not do it. So some of these people are brave. I don't know if they're licensed, but don't even expect that from my channel, even though I am an advisor, right? I'll give you all of my code facts, intellectual intelligence, and value outside of that. If you can give me a call if that's a topic you want to talk, and we can get we'll talk one-on-one. But I don't do that on here, and I wouldn't even encourage people to do it, just because the censorship of just almost any topic is just unreal. Speaking of which, before I sign off, Jack Smith, you know, you can tell a lot about the goofy people that are elected to lead operations, the biased, goofy people that are elected to lead operations in our nation, just by their Twitter feed. Now, I don't know if Jack Smith, this guy who's on Trump right now, is supposed to be this unbiased person But the guy is clearly a Democrat, a staunch Democrat. There's nothing middle of the road or objective to me about him. You look at his Twitter feed, you can tell a lot about a person and their mindset and even their character by their Twitter feed. This guy sounds like a real jerk. I mean, I feel sorry for whoever it might be married to this person because he just seems like he's a narcissist. Like, I mean, a lot of these people in Washington, they have zero grace. They have zero grace. From Lauren Boebert, even the Republican side, right? Zero grace. Now, you are a sitting congresswoman and you were in the movie theater, right? Now, first of all, I don't trust anybody, right? I don't trust anybody. First thing I'm going to get to know you and figure out a lot about you before I just sit there and trust you to even get to the point where you got your hands all over me like that. So this is a first date, and Lauren Boebert allows this guy who she claims to be, she found out was a Democratic operative or whatever. But first date, you got let this man feeling all over you, right? And you are being filmed in a movie theater, right? And these are people who are touting Christianity. These are people using Christianity as a badge of honor. The people like Lauren Boebert. And this is how you see that, on both sides, there are just some manipulating apostates. And you just gotta just read the character of some of these people. I was just reading Jack Smith's Twitter feed. I'm like, this guy's a staunch Democrat. There's nothing middle of the road about him. He was literally hired to take out Trump and nothing else. I don't get what they're doing with this whole special prosecution. They're trying to make him a hero and a Johnny Badass. I'm like, Democrats are so goofy to me. They will try to make a rock star out of any goofy ass person, and it's just ridiculous to me. But anyways, guys, I'm about to get off of here. Sorry for all the screaming my kids was doing earlier. They play these games, and I asked them keep it down. I'm gonna do this, and they just so. Anyways, see the silence, right? Because they in bed now. But anyways, you guys have a wonderful rest of your week, and hopefully I will do another video soon, if sooner rather than later, depending on what's going on in the world. Bye.